Hi there, Tin from Kaon here. We've got a new product for the LC200. These are our side Molle panels. These Molle panels have been requested by many of our customers. Now, these panels can be either installed by themselves or in place of the small panels that come with the standalone rear roof shelf. Now, installation is quite easy. We supply the captive nuts in the roof, and you'll need to drill a hole for the M10 mount towards the front and a couple of holes for the screws towards the back. We'll show you how to do that now. We've covered how to remove the handles and install the M6 captive nuts in another video, which we'll put right here. Okay, we're inside the back of the 200 series, and the handles here at the back, they're actually clipped in. They're a little bit tricky to remove, so I'll show you how I do it. So there's these two covers here, and you see these little tiny notches here. It's enough for you to get a little flat blade screwdriver in there. And what you want to do is you want to push it in, and with a bit of friction, pull it back out, pull the screwdriver out this way and upwards. You can see, and you'll unclip, and you should be able to pry it out gently, and there you go. So you can see that there's little retainers in there. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to pry that up and out. So do that on both sides, and then there's a little metal clip in here. Just squeeze that, and it actually comes out. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and do the other side as well. Actually, I'll show you. So squeeze this clip, and it just comes out like that. Okay, and what you'll find is behind here, there is a rectangular opening. It's a bit hard to see on this black car. There's a rectangular opening there, and what we're going to do, we're going to put a nut behind there with a special retainer. So I'll go ahead and remove the other side as well, and I'll show you how to put these nuts in the back. You'll have these nut blocks and retainers in the kit. Now, I want to explain how these work because this is quite important. So we've got some, it's a TPU flexible clip retainer, and we've got the CNC machined aluminium nuts. Now, if you remember in the vehicle, we've got a slot that looks about that size. So we put that nut in, we turn it 90 degrees, pull it back out, and the edge of the sheet metal will actually sit on that ledge there, and this will clamp onto the sheet metal in the roof. Now, to hold this in place, we've come up with this. Okay, so what happens is that actually clips over the top of that, line up the hole, and if you have a look at that, it's actually got a little return on the back, and it's designed to fit snugly in that slot, in this slot here, and it pushes on that and holds that nut in place, so you can actually use that to attach the shelf brackets to. Now, the way we install that, and I'll show you it outside of the vehicle, is we use a long M6 bolt to do this. So to set it up, what you need to do, you'll be supplied a long M6 bolt, slide the retainer on first, put a nut block on, wind it on so the thread comes out the back, and then what we'll do, we'll go to the vehicle, we'll insert it this way through the rectangular opening in the roof, we'll turn it 90 degrees, and then holding onto the M6 bolt, what we can do is we can actually, whoops, it's a bit fiddly, what we can do, we can actually push one side of the clip in, and you'll be able to bend it and clip one side in like that, and then push the other side in like that, and you should feel it click in, and it should fit in there nice and snugly. And then remove the bolt. Once the bolt's removed, you'll have this retained up in the roof of the vehicle. The plastic retainer holds it in place, and then when we tighten it down, it all clamps up and makes it nice and secure. So I just wanted to show you that outside of the vehicle, and then we'll go and do it in the vehicle. Okay, I've got a little bit more light in here now, and the handles have been removed, and you can see there's a little rectangular opening in there. So this is the difficulty with the 200 series. There's actually no captive nuts in the roof there. So what we have to do is we have to put some there so we can attach the brackets to them. Now what we need to do is, if you've got some of this this trim here, you need to make sure you push it back so there's about a 2mm lip all the way around. That way our retainer can sit in place. This is not too bad. That should be fine, and this side is fine. You can see there's enough all the way around. Once you've done that, I'll show you how to put this retainer in. Okay, this is the opening where the handle came out. So you can see that rectangular opening there and the sheet metal in the roof. We're going to clamp onto that. So we need to put this nut block behind there. So grab the long M6 bolt that you'll use to install these nuts, and I'll show you how these are supposed to sit, because it's really important before we put the retainer on, just for clarity. So these will go in quite easily, sideways, and what we want to do is we want to actually turn it 90 degrees so that, it's a bit fiddly here, that it sits like that. Can you see how that ledge that's been machined into it fits perfectly into the slot there? And so once we clamp, it'll clamp onto there perfectly, and that ledge will key into the slot there in the roof. Okay, so it's important that it's sitting properly. That is incorrect. It needs to be like this. Okay, so that's without the retainer in place. And then what we have is we have this retainer right there. We're going to slip over the top, and will keep that nut in place. So I'll show you how to install this. It's a bit fiddly, but it's not too hard, and we can check that the position's right by making sure all the holes and so forth align up. So I'll take that out. And what we want to do, we want to set it up again. So we put the retainer, the nut retainer, on first. Make sure you get this in the right direction. Okay. You can see the little machine step in there. That is where the sheet metal will rest up on, and this is where it'll clamp up. So put it up inside. Now this is the fiddly part. Hopefully you can see without my hands getting in the way. So we want to turn that 90 degrees and get that sitting nicely. What we need to do actually is to move this up. Okay, so turn it 90 degrees, it's sitting really nicely there. And what I do is I push one side in first while I'm pulling back on that bolt. I've got one side up. Actually, got one side up. So I've actually got one side in, and then I'll push the other side in, and you should feel it lock in place. And what you want to do is you want to pull that towards you and just wiggle it to make sure that that spigot is lined up against the sheet metal there, and that's all sitting in there nicely, and you can feel that that's not moving anywhere. And then what we do, unwind the bolt, and the nut is being held in place. So we've got an M6 nut block behind there, and it's been held in place by this TPU nut retainer. Now that you've got the captive nuts in the roof, we want to drill a hole so we can access the captive nut down in the frame of the vehicle. So to do that, we've supplied a template. Cut that out carefully, but before you do that, just check the scale to make sure that it's the right size. Now, I'm putting some blue tack on the back to position it on the vehicle. You can use sticky tape too. I'll show you how to position it. Now, it's important to get this bottom edge aligned with the crease in the plastic and this little radius here. So I've got the bottom edge lined up, nice, and that should mean that the top edge lines up as well. Now, the bits of blue tack in there, hold it in place. Now, importantly, you want to make sure there's no air gap in the middle there, and that is in position. and we've got the drill center mark there. Once you have the template in place, we need to drill a hole in the plastic so that this 20mm spacer can pass through, and that allows us to bolt up to the chassis. So grab your 22mm hole saw, place it on the center mark, and drill your hole. And then remove it. Now that you've done that, the next step is to install this little bracket. Make sure you get the right one. I'll just take it apart and show you. Now this one is the left-hand side. So left-hand side bracket goes underneath and angles towards the rear. So grab the M6 bolt with washer and a little M6 nut underneath it and just loosely attach it there. Grab an M10 bolt and washer and your spacer. And what we want to do is we want to position the panel in place so that we can mark where we need to drill for the screws in the rear mount. So that's good there. Now we only want to finger tight that actually, so we can adjust the position up here. So now that we've got it roughly in position, we can adjust the position of this bracket on the front here so everything's nice and tight. So there's some slots left and right. Now if you push that up against there, you can feel that it's up against the back and flush on the bottom. And what we want to do is get a pencil and mark those two holes so we can drill the holes for the screws. Grab yourself a 3mm drill bit and drill a pilot hole where you've marked them. We've drilled the pilot holes, we've reattached the panel, and we'll screw these in place. Now make sure you don't over tighten them, they are self-tapping. Very good. And the other one. Okay, now push the panel into place and we'll tighten this one. Tighten the top ones. And your M10 bolt down the bottom. And repeat for the other side. So we're all done now. They're in the side Molle panels for the LC200, and you can mount your first aid kit, any other Molle compatible pouches, and also has the holes for quick fists and the like.